The U.S. Embassy in Ukraine has officially fled across the border into Poland as Vladimir Putin's initial intrusion, or minor incursion, as Joe might call it, into Ukraine is now underway. We'll bring you the very latest developments all throughout the hour. Plus, we'll show you how Vice President Harris absolutely humiliated herself yet again and this country yet again during her big trip to Europe. And later, shocking new video from New York City. Look at this 4-year-old boy getting punched in the face at random by a repeat violent criminal. How are these no bail laws working out? And also tonight, we're keeping an eye on Canada, where Putin wannabe little dictator himself, little Justin, is now violently squashing all dissent. But first, our top story is the Russian military personnel now are rolling into the eastern part of the country after Russia's hostile dictator issued a decree ordering troops to the region. Now, Putin is calling the incursion a peacekeeping mission. Really? Okay. In support of the so-called Russian separatists. In reality, nothing could be further from the truth. According to analysts and officials, we could be witnessing what is the beginning of a prolonged and bloody war, the largest invasion in Europe since Hitler's reign of terror. Now, remember, just 2 years ago to the day, then candidate Joe Biden, he made a bold declaration. This did not age well on Twitter. Vladimir Putin doesn't want me to be president. He doesn't want me to be our nominee. If you're wondering why, it's because I'm the only person in the field who's ever gone toe-to-toe with him. Didn't do pretty well. Anyway, it turns out Joe was everything Putin, in fact, did want and more. Putin watched as Biden abandoned how many Americans, how many green card holders, how many of our Afghan allies in the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan in the most shameful and chaotic way possible.
Americans held hostage, abandoned behind enemy lines. Day 191.
And 204 days since Joe promised he wouldn't stab Americans in the back and abandon them. They're still trapped behind enemy lines. Joe, of course, and the media, of course, have turned the page. We haven't. Now, also, Putin watched as Biden refused to hold China accountable in any way for the spread of COVID-19, military aggression in Taiwan's airspace, all the crackdowns in Hong Kong, the Uyghur minority community, forced labor camps. And Putin watched as Biden immediately lifted all sanctions on Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline while crippling America's own oil and gas production right here in the U.S. by ending the Keystone XL pipeline and more. We'll have a lot on that in a second. Make no mistake, there's no mystery behind Putin's hostile behavior and Russia's behavior. In fact, he announced his intentions months ago. Back in July, I think it was July 12th, if my memory serves me well, Putin declared his lust for Ukraine during a long, deranged, rambling paper of his. All the while, Russian troops and equipment, they were amassing at Ukraine's border for the better part of a year, and yet Biden failed to turn the screws. He failed to deter Vladimir in any way. He failed to reimpose sanctions until today, and they're pathetic at that, with 2 measly economic limits on just the separatist regions now in eastern Ukraine. Far too little, far too late, and as Russia's ambassador to Sweden put it, Moscow doesn't give a atom shift about sanctions. Now there's virtually nothing Biden can do to prevent conflict, and of course the United States will not get into a shooting war with Ukraine, nor should we. But Americans will pay a steep financial cost, and Putin has a very good shot of breaking up NATO as a result of this in ways that we can't imagine today. And our Western European allies that, because of Joe's energy policies, are reliant on that guy, that hostile actor, for the lifeblood of their economy. There's not much they can do. The price of a barrel of oil is now very high at $94 per barrel, but a war between 2 massive oil-producing countries in Europe, well, that price could shoot right through the roof, with some people, economic experts, expecting it could go to higher than $150 a barrel. You'll pay for that. Too bad President Biden spent the first year of his presidency basically taking a wrecking ball to the U.S. oil and gas production in this country. He did inherit energy independence, and Donald Trump left this country as a net exporter of energy. Remember, it was Biden that blocked the new Keystone XL pipeline. He put new drilling efforts in Alaska on a permanent hold. He disrupted new exploration and development auctions in the rest of the country. He suspended new exploration on federal lands in Anwar. He hurt American liquefied natural gas production by lifting lifting sanctions on Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline. As Forbes put it back in August, it is not a revelation to discover that the Biden administration intends to phase out the U.S. oil and gas industry, but it is astonishing to see how quickly it is moving to accomplish this while sending production abroad to producers in Russia and the Middle East. And by the way, he's been begging OPEC and importing from Russia. It's unbelievable. Under Donald Trump, we were a net exporter of oil and gas. Now we are at the mercy of Russia, OPEC, the Middle East, and what, Venezuela next? Look at your screen. Since January 2021, the U.S. has imported over 232 million barrels of oil from Russia. Wow. Joe's making Russia and the hostile regime of Russia and the hostile actor Putin rich again. In Europe, the situation is even worse. Look at this. A whopping 32% of Germany's gas, that comes from Russia. How tough do you think Germany can be with Vladimir Putin and Russia with that percentage of the lifeblood of their economy reliant on him? As I've said many, many times, America, we have no business fighting the corrupt country of Ukraine and their wars. But if the U.S. decided to do, let's say we wanted to do this same thing to Mexico or Canada or Cuba, the way that, to fight Putin, there is a way to fight him. There is a way to defeat him. There is a way to bring Russia to its knees. And that would be the mass production in this country of our vast natural resources of oil, gas would be critical. Now, you want to deter Vladimir Putin, flood the market with American energy, cut his profits, wreck Russia's economy, supply our Western European allies with all of their energy needs so they're not reliant on him anymore. But Joe Biden cares more about AOC, or Green New Deal, climate change, alarmism cult, and now he is totally checked out. Oh, a few hours ago, as Russia's minor incursion, as Joe would probably call it, into eastern Ukraine began, Joe Biden, he called the lid for the day, a lid meaning he's out, he's done, he's not going to say any more for the day. Presumably, he retired to his private quarters, had his ice cream, and went night-night.